Imagine this, Sir Alex Ferguson breaking his golden transfer rule for a player he never watched playing. Sounds wild, right? But that's exactly what happened in 2010 when Manchester United signed a player without Sir Alex ever seeing him play, not even on video. And who was this mystery man, Bebe? Yeah, a kid who went from growing up in a Portuguese orphanage to rocking the Premier League and somehow turning into a cult hero in Spain. So, what made Sir Alex take that leap? Let's dive into this crazy story. Say the name Bebe to any football fan, and chances are they'll light up with recognition. Not for his dazzling career at Manchester United, but for the wild story behind his transfer. Back in 2010, Sir Alex Ferguson broke his own golden rule to sign this guy, without ever seeing him play. Not even on video. Yup, it was all based on recommendations, instincts, and maybe a little bit of hype. But let's be real, Bebe's time at United was more of a curious misstep than a Cinderella story. He managed just 2 Premier League appearances before being sent on a series of loan spells. Besiktas, Rio Ave, Pacos de Ferreira, you get the idea. By 2014, he'd moved on to Benfica. For most people, that's where his story ends, a footnote in Sir Alex's otherwise legendary career. But here's what most don't know, Bebe's journey didn't stop there. Fast forward to today, and at 33, he's the captain of Rayo Vallecano in La Liga. This dude's been scoring clutch goals, including a last-minute penalty winner and a stoppage-time equalizer just this past October. And in Spain, he's become a cult hero. Why? Because Bebe will shoot from anywhere, 40 yards out, 50 yards out, and sometimes those wild shots actually hit the back of the net. He's got a story that's way deeper than just being that United flop. In an interview with ESPN, Bebe himself put it best. People see me one way now, but my story is completely different from the Bebe of today. And trust me, it's a story worth telling. Bebe's story starts with his grandmother pulling a fast one on him. Growing up just outside Lisbon, his 2 older brothers were already getting into trouble. Fearing he'd follow the same path, his grandmother made a tough call. She tricked me, Bebe says. She told me I was going to a holiday home for the weekend, but I ended up in an orphanage for 10 years. 9 years old and suddenly in a house with 150 other kids from all walks of life. It wasn't easy. Some of the kids had been abandoned. Others came from incredibly tough backgrounds. There were serious things happening there, things a child shouldn't see or hear. At Casa do Gaiado, his orphanage north of Lisbon, Bebe's football skills started to shine. At first, football was just fun. But then people started noticing he had talent. They saw something in him. And when he got the chance to play for a homelessness charity team at the European Street Football Festival in 2009, Bebe's star rose fast. In their first game, they were losing 3-0. Bebe came on and scored 6 goals. After that, everything changed. By the end of the tournament, he'd racked up a jaw-dropping 40 goals in 6 games. Scouts were buzzing, and soon Bebe had offers from clubs like Newcastle, Maritimo, and Vitória Guimarães. Bebe eventually signed with Vitória Guimarães in July 2010, playing just a handful of friendlies before the unthinkable happened. Manchester United came knocking. Sir Alex Ferguson, trusting his instincts and reportedly a tip from Carlos Queiroz, shelled out €10 million to sign the Portuguese forward. Sir Alex Ferguson had a golden rule when it came to transfers: always watch the player live before signing them. Simple, right? He believed seeing them in action firsthand was the best way to judge their skills, strengths, weaknesses, and whether they'd fit into the Manchester United squad. And honestly, this method worked wonders for years. But then came the exception. In 2010, Sir Alex decided to ditch his own rule. Why? His assistant manager at the time, Carlos Queiroz, hyped up an unknown Portuguese winger. Queiroz insisted this kid was something special, and United had to act fast. So Ferguson went for it, without ever seeing Bebe play. Not in person, not even on video. Yup, he broke his own golden rule. And let's just say, it didn't go as planned. 1 minute, Bebe's scoring in an amateur tournament. The next, he's shaking hands with Ferguson. From having nothing to being at the top, it was overwhelming. Bebe's stint at United was short and honestly, rough. He scored a couple of goals, a League Cup strike and a Champions League finish, but he struggled to keep up with the Premier League's intensity. A match against Wolves in the Premier League was a reality check. Subbed on for an injured Owen Hargreaves, Bebe struggled, especially with his crossing. Fans were frustrated. Sir Alex, even more so. Things got so bad that Ferguson subbed him off in the same game, and that, unfortunately, was the turning point. Bebe never really recovered from that performance. The promising start? Forgotten. He became a figure of ridicule in English football, regularly listed among United's worst ever signings. So, what happened? Honestly, it was just too much, too soon. Bebe had jumped from street football in Portugal to the Premier League without the proper foundation. He didn't speak English, lacked a footballing education, and even admitted later that his attitude wasn't right during his time at United. The move was a dream, but it came way too early. After that Wolves game, Bebe made only 2 more appearances for United's first team. The rest of his time was spent in the reserves where he failed to impress. By 2011, he was sent on loan to Besiktas. 2 more loan spells followed, and by 2014, it was clear Bebe was desperate for a fresh start. Bebe found his footing in Spain. In July 2016, he signed a 4-year deal with Eibar, a mid-table La Liga side. He debuted that August in a narrow 2-1 loss against Deportivo La Coruña, but scored his first goal a month later in a 2-0 win over Real Sociedad. A Basque Derby goal? Not a bad way to announce yourself, right? But Bebe's time at Eibar wasn't all smooth sailing. By January 2018, he returned to Rayo Vallecano on loan, a move that eventually became permanent in August. It felt like a homecoming. He signed a 3-year deal, ready to prove himself again. Just as Bebe seemed to be settling at Rayo, disaster struck. In October 2019, during a match against Ponferradina, he suffered a serious knee injury that sidelined him for over a year. Imagine the frustration, sidelined just as he was building momentum. But in October 2020, Bebe made his long-awaited return against Fuenlabrada. The road to recovery wasn't easy, but he fought his way back. Fast forward to January 2023, Bebe wasn't getting much game time at Rayo during the 2022-23 season. So he went on loan to Real Zaragoza in the 2nd division. Sometimes stepping back helps you move forward, right? He spent the rest of the season trying to reignite his form. By 2024, it was time for a fresh start again. After terminating his contract with Rayo in August, Bebe signed with Racing de Ferrol in the Spanish 2nd division. It might not have been the heights of the Premier League, but it was another chance to keep his career alive and do what he loved, play football. Now let's talk about Bebe's international career. It started in 2010 with the Portugal under-21s, where he even managed to score on his 2nd appearance. But injuries and stiff competition meant Bebe never broke into Portugal's senior team. So what does he do? He taps into his Cape Verdean roots. In 2019, Bebe announced his desire to represent Cape Verde. He finally got his first call-up in March 2022 and made a dream debut, scoring in a 2-0 win over Guadeloupe. Bebe's international journey hit new heights at the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations in Ivory Coast. He debuted in Cape Verde's opener, a dramatic 2-1 win over Ghana. Then, in the 2nd match against Mozambique, Bebe lit it up. He scored a stunning free kick to put Cape Verde ahead, and the team cruised to a 3-0 victory, becoming the first to qualify for the knockout stage. From a Manchester United misfit to an AFCON standout, Bebe had come full circle. Sure, he didn't become the next Cristiano Ronaldo, but his story is one of resilience, determination, and making the best of second chances. If you enjoyed this video and want more amazing football stories, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below. What do you think about Bebe's journey? Was he just unlucky, or was the hype too much from the start? Let me know. And don't forget to turn on those notifications so you don't miss out on more awesome football content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.